This is Let's Talk Business with your hosts, Mark Ebinger and Heather Bain. Now, here's Mark.
Welcome to Let's Talk Business, a show that talks entrepreneurship with some of the best businesses in the San Antonio area. Coming up on the show today, we're going to talk with Sarah Garten, a financial services professional at New York Life. Sarah, first timer, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
We're also going to talk with Jim Shawley. Okay, I didn't say Shale, I said Shawley, who runs the New Tactics, Inc., which offers free equine services. I'm going to have to start over because I can't say equine. I can't do it. I don't know.
Equitation.
When it has an E at the end.
See, he said that word and it jacked me up. That's what it was.
I'd mess it up too.
Take personal responsibility. I just.
I'm a snowflake. I don't take personal
Just watch him
responsibility.
go, which offers free horse activities to all services.
No, that sounds like you're like, no. You have a degree hanging somewhere on a wall.
No? Well, I have an associate's degree, but I don't know if that counts.
That counts.
Sarah, you got a degree, right?
I have 2 degrees. They're in music.
Wow.
Oh, music. So she's really educated. That's a high
Like
level
New York
stuff.
educated.
See, my degree was in animal
I
science.
did live in New York City.
So,
My degree is from upstate New York.
Where?
Or my master's. Eastman School of Music.
Oh, I don't know.
No, it's in Rochester.
Okay.
No,
I
it's
spent
not.
time in Plattsburgh.
SUNY's good, though. SUNY's a good one.
Okay,
I know a lot
here
of
we
people.
go. Sorry, Brooke. We'll get started again.
yeah.
Welcome to Let's Talk Business, a show that talks entrepreneurship with some of the best businesses in the San Antonio area. Coming up on the show today, we're going to talk with Sarah Garten, a financial services professional with New York Life. Sarah, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, first timer. Are you nervous?
A little bit.
A little bit? Yeah, it's fun. I was trying to make it as easy and fun as we could before we got all the pre-show stuff, which I should probably live stream on social media, but I don't do that. Anyway, we're also going to talk with Jim Shawley, who runs New Tactics, Inc., which offers free equine services to all service members, veterans, and first responders. Jim, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet. Did you know I'm a retired first responder? Did I tell you that?
No, I did not.
Yeah, 24 years in San Antonio Police Department.
That's amazing.
I
You're
know
a man.
It is amazing. So it's
awesome.
not all Air Force, right?
Well, that notched you up a little bit. I mean, better than the Air Force status.
That's why I said it. I figured in the Army mind, it would actually help me better.
It elevated you.
Just a little bit. All right. In the studio with us today, it's Heather Bain, a certified business coach that works with business owners to gain clarity and achieve their goals. Heather, great to see you again.
Always good to be here.
Heather, of course, is my business coach, which I don't go anywhere with. I don't do anything without checking in with Heather, I think. She probably thinks I'm annoying, but
Oh, no, I love it. That's my favorite thing to do. Just,
it's me again.
I get that all the time from clients. They're like, do you have 10 minutes to talk through something? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. I'll be in the car and we just go through it and they walk away with clarity and they're able to go make those decisions they need to make. So that's what I'm here for.
And she doesn't bill us immediately, right, on that kind
No.
of stuff, which is kind of nice, too. All right.
Not a lawyer. Okay, maybe.
You
Sorry,
probably
Katie.
should, though. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, I'm your host, Mark Ebinger, the owner of Krukus Marketing Agency, a company that specializes in giving small businesses a competitive edge by hiring low-cost virtual administrative specialists from outside the U.S., which is how I built my entire company, is 24 full-time employees, all from the Philippines, remote working. So I'm kicking butt and taking names. What do you think of that, Jim?
Well, it's probably the Air Force in you.
We learned to delegate, sir. We just find Army guys to go do stuff we need to get done.
I'm trying to contain myself
You're doing a great
in
job.
my comments.
All right, a quick reminder for our listeners, you can catch video and podcast versions of the show anytime by visiting our website at satalkradio.com. Click on the humor section if you want to see more of me and Jim. And if you're a business owner in the San Antonio area and would like to have your company featured on the show, visit our website at satalkradio.com or call our office at 210-879-8804. That's 210-879-8804. So networking is important for really all businesses, right? Nonprofits, regular businesses.
That's how we all met, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We
Yes.
all network to some degree. I mean, in
Yes.
fact, that's how we've all met.
Yep.
So when it comes to networking mistakes, I'm going to do a little thing on this week at the BNI group.
Ooh.
I've got the presentation already set up. But what are some of the most common networking mistakes that you see out there, Sarah?
I think, I've made this mistake. And I know there's a question out there, is there such thing as too much networking? And I think it's a yes and no question because I think it ultimately depends on your follow-up, right? I found myself going to so many networking events on a weekly basis thinking all I had to do was collect the names. And then I had just piles and piles of cards and no follow-up system. And I realized that there's no point in networking and spending this energy and effort going out to these places without a follow-up system. So, I had to take a deep look and tell myself, like, you can still be effective by going to 1 or 2 a week, but maybe spending more effort, have a better plan, and have a better follow-up.
Yeah, that's a great point because it's activity, but where's the follow-up kind of a situation? What do you think, Heather?
Well, I think that's big. And another thing I see is, they can have the follow-up and it's cold, but knowing how you're going to interact with whoever you're talking to at the networking event is a good thing to know going in. Who are the type of people you want to meet? And if you do meet them, what are you going to do about it? Are you just going to grab their card and try to follow up with them via email or phone call? Or are you going to try to further the relationship while you're there? Oh, let's go grab coffee. Let's meet at our office to chat about this more. I think I've said it 1,000 times. Making a plan to make a plan. Oh, I'll call and follow up with you after this and we'll set a time. Oh, it reduces the statistic possibility of you actually having a meeting with that person so much because they leave that networking event and they are back in their lives. They're dealing with family, they're dealing with their business. But if you make a plan at that moment, you're a lot more likely to go through because even if they're not able to meet that meeting date, they probably will reschedule with you. So that's my biggest tip and mistake is you could meet your perfect client, your perfect connection, like even a friend. But if you make a plan to make a plan, the likelihood of you actually following through goes down just statistically.
Well, there's a movie called The Patriot with Mel Gibson, right? It's one of my favorite movies, right? But there was a term in there that was used, a phrase, aim small, miss small, right? Which I appreciate that. So, Jim, how do you approach networking when you're out there?
Well, my wife is an introvert, and she's also an LPC. So she talks to service members and veterans all day long. So when she gets home with me, she doesn't want to talk at all. Or when we go out, she doesn't want to talk. So I use the Walmart example. I'll be on the third aisle with her. A veteran will walk down that aisle. I will give them a business card, and I'll spend the next 10 minutes talking to him while my wife is 20 minutes in grocery shopping and telling me, get your butt over here now. So I spend an exhausting amount of time talking to people, and hopefully getting that follow-up to meet with them. Facebook. I blow Facebook up. But the problem with that is unless I'm paying for it, no one's seeing it other than the people that are following me.
Are you tagging people when you post it and talk about them?
I don't tag necessarily, but I'm hoping, and I just add a note saying, hey, can you all share? Please share with your brothers and sisters in arms, or your fellow patrolmen, whatever the case may be. So,
well, start tagging people because you're going to get into their network. It's an easy way to start leveraging. And as long as they allow the tagging to happen, then that's and it's simple.
Oh, it works too. Because yesterday my father-in-law was asking me if I was part of this big conference event. And I was like, what are you talking about? And it's because one of my coaching colleagues tagged me in an event he's speaking at. And my father-in-law was just like, you're speaking at this event? And I was like, no. But it looks cool. Like, it looks like I am, I guess. But it got it in front of like a whole new batch of people that he never would have been in front of if he hadn't tagged me.
Yeah, it works extremely well. As long as they're allowing the tagging to happen, you can do it. And in fact, I was just having a conversation. So Peachtree Rose Marketing, this is their studio. What do you guys think of the studio? It's pretty nice, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Comfortable, all that. They do a great job on it. Well, I'm going to start tagging him on a couple of my posts that I do every week, just because we're here and it's a way to, tap into his network, but then him to tap into mine as well. So, and then there's collaborations which can happen, which we don't want to get too deep into stuff, but collaborations are another way to end up on somebody else's feed on Instagram. So it's like there are ways there that maybe are simple that you can do to just kind of actually explode your reach pretty quickly. So, but yeah, networking is one thing, but capitalizing on that networking is another thing. So what is your follow-up strategy?
So I try to change it and mold it as I go along, especially as I've been networking for a few years now, and I've chosen particular groups that I like to continue going to on a monthly, weekly basis. I don't necessarily just try new ones every once in a while. Every once in a while, if it's like, I got time for that, sure. But follow-up, typically, I do agree with Heather. I think that I should be doing a lot more follow-up at that moment of like, hey, let's get our calendars out right now. I don't do that, but I probably will start be doing that soon. But my follow-up typically is adding them on social media first. Like if they're on social
Smart.
media, right? LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, you name it, whatever their thing is. And then I use my CRM. I input all of that information from their business cards, so I don't have to even have like a Rolodex or anything like that. And I leave a note about the conversation we had. What do they do? Just anything that can help me remind who that person is. I've met hundreds of people in the last 3 years doing what I do now. And it can get overwhelming. And then I email. I'm not a big cold call or caller in general. And I know at that point it's not really a cold call anymore because I met them, right? Still, I get anxiety over calling. So I tend to lean towards other devices, right? The email, messaging them, hey, what is the best form of communication for you? It may not be email. It may not be phone calls. So whether that works or not, I try to have a follow-up from there as well. But connecting on social media, I think, is really key these days.
And then having something to, another reason to reach out, right? That's not just, hey, this is what the market's doing right now or the whatever, right? Because a lot of that can end up being white noise. But, hey, I'm going to a networking event. Love to see you there. Come as my guest or whatever the next thing is. Heather, what do you think as far as, so you've met them at somebody at a networking event. You've got them in their CRM. What's next?
I mean, I think consistency is key, whether you're going to be reaching out through email workflows or calls or texts. I mean, it depends on what you're marketing, what your service is. For me, I don't do as much of that. My service is business coaching, and very few people like to be told your business has something wrong with it. Let me help you fix it. Ew. I'm never going to tell anyone that. That's gross. So for me, I choose to network in places where consistency can be held through me being there. I know myself. I don't want to email you 1 billion times or text you 1,000 times. I already did that in my real estate career and it worked, but I don't like it. So I just go to the same networking events and I show up and I make sure that when I'm there and I meet new people, I ask a lot of questions. So if I'm going to make a plan with them, it's about a specific pain point that they shared with me in their business. And I think if you can go to networking events and ask people questions that engage them and show that you're truly interested in what they're doing in their business, and then they tell you something that your service or product could create a solution to a pain point for them, following up is going to be a lot easier because it's not going to be like, hey, I met you at this networking event. Let's grab coffee. It's, hey, I remember us talking about you really struggling with the systems and processes in your business and how all of your employees do something totally different. And that's actually something that I talk with clients about every day. I'd love to grab coffee with you so that we can dig into that a little more because I'm really interested in hearing about what your business could do if that was resolved. And then it's like, oh, that could resolve something in my business, and it's offering that value.
Yeah, leading with giving. That's a really good
and
point.
I agree with the, going to the same networking events over and over. So it does decrease your follow-up of email. You're just relationship building at that point, right? Sometimes it takes a while, it takes several years to build that trust. So I agree with Heather of just showing up to the same events a lot. Don't get bogged down by, especially like the open networking events. I don't know if that's something we were going to talk about, but open networking events, especially for what I do, or real estate or mortgage, there's a lot of us, right? And it's like, who do I work with? Do I work with these people at all? And do I get bogged down when I see 5 other New York Life people at an event? No, I don't. I don't walk away. I don't leave. I don't get scared or nervous. I just talk to as many people as I can or reconnect with who I know already, which I think has helped me in the long run.
I think I'm in my market's not saturated, right? I'm doing virtual assistant staffing. I don't know of anybody else actually in our circles that I've run where I'm competing against it, but I've got something to invite them to. You can come to a podcast, right? So that's a different way to be able to start those relationships. It works very, very well for warming them up. All right, let's get into it. So we got our little discussion area or time done. Let's get in with Sarah Garten here. So first up on the show officially is Sarah Garten, a financial services professional at New York Life. So, top 25 agent in the San Antonio general office?
Yeah. So, on our systems, we have a dashboard, right? And we check it every single day. And right now I'm in that top 25 in our office right now. We have well over 200 agents in the San Antonio, New Braunfels area. And really it's based off of, there's two calendars that we have. There's the calendar year and then there's a fiscal year. And so right now, based off the fiscal year, that's, I'm placed top 25 and I like to stay there. Obviously with a commission-based job, it's just a lot of hustle and it fluctuates, right? I can be 12 and then 27 the next week. I don't know what everyone else is doing, but that's a good way to see like, oh, that person is doing really well. We can see each other's progress.
Are you competitive?
Yes. Yeah. I have a competitive nature. My background is actually in music and I did several competitions, making all state, region, auditioning for orchestras, living in New York City, trying to, be on Broadway. So I had that competitive nature and that drive. It's, to me, seeing the results and seeing the lifestyle that I'm living and how I'm helping people, it's all a competitive drive for me.
How did you end up, and I know we're going to talk a lot about networking, but how did you end up in your current career field? I mean, what was the path there?
Oh, man. So keep it short and brief. I like to thank COVID. Thank you. Basically, it was just one of those things where, I tried several different music paths. Teaching, auditioning. Broadway was actually a networking system. It was really about who you knew in New York City at that point. And I had only lived in New York City for 7 months when COVID happened. And I'm from San Antonio, so I came back temporarily. But with Broadway being closed for a good year and a half, I made the decision before Broadway even reopened to look for a new career. Not just a job, but just a career that I could grow into, I could learn from. I didn't need to go back to school necessarily. Good support system, good manager, everything, all the things. So I went to Indeed, plug for Indeed, I guess. But I just made a pro and con list, and I had no idea that I was going to find myself being a financial service professional, doing what I do. And but it's also allowed me to continue playing music for fun. I'm actually in a community band that performs for the community, and I teach once a week. It allows me to still follow the passion, but now I have a new passion. I've tried to take the skills that I learned from being a musician and applying it to New York life.
I've got kind of a devil's advocate question.
Yeah.
Okay, this could be interesting. So Broadway was a networking game, and obviously there was COVID, so that was a big left field. But if you were to take the skills that you've gained over the last few years networking, because you've built majority of your business on that, and go back to Broadway, how do you think your results would look?
They would look, I think they would look really good. I still feel like COVID definitely influenced a lot of new decisions and different regulations in the networking world up there. It went from easily saying, hey, I'd love to sit in on your show. I don't think people can do that anymore. I don't think I can literally just ask someone via email, cold email, if I can do that. It probably would just now be, hey, can I grab coffee with you? I'd love to pick your brain about how you got to where you are. And so I would, if I could go back and do it, which, it's just a decision that I made not to go back. But if I were to, networking would come super easy to me in that nature. Because really it is a relationship building up there.
And I feel like a lot of people start networking, and we see this all the time as people who network. We meet somebody once or twice, and then we never see them again. And it's like the big pitfall, right? You go to a few, it doesn't work, you stop going. What helped you overcome that? What was the question? Sorry. Oh, what helped you overcome you've made a business based on networking. Yeah. Like that's how you've grown. Yeah. What kept you going to the point where you're at now?
So I continue because, again, I see the results. I think that's something that you help a lot of your clients with, right, is the stats, right? Just seeing where your business comes from. And I know for me, more than 50%, probably close to even 70% of my commission or my clients comes from networking. And sometimes it's not automatic. Sometimes it's, a couple months, maybe a year. I recently connected with someone who I hadn't had coffee with or we never had coffee. We met though like 2 years ago at an open networking event at Little Woodrow's. And I thought he was so cool. And what was funny about that event is that there were like 7 of us, like New York Life people. And he was just he was funny. And he's from the UK, so he's a good, funny guy. But he was like, he asked me the question, why would I work with you and not that guy or that guy, right? And it took us 2 years to reconnect. I wish we had connected sooner. I know now he's in the States full time, and we had coffee, and he made a valid point that really opened my eyes recently. And again, kind of something I want to better myself in the future networking events is when I have the follow-up and I'm having these coffee meetings with people, is that I need to ask the question. I think I have this fear factor. My strength is not being pushy, but my weakness is not being pushy. And he asked me, he said, I've been sitting with people for 2 months now since moving here, and no one I'm having coffee with is asking me if I need their services. And it was just like, oh my gosh, I didn't think about it. I just, in my mind, I thought, we're catching up. We're building rapport. But he's like, well, then maybe another 2 years is going to go by, right? It's
kind of like dating, right? To some extent, where it's like, well, no, I mean, it's like, well, are we hitting it off? Are we not hitting it off? But you never asked me out, right? Isn't it? There's some parallels
that makes sense. Yeah. And so, he was really, it just was not a slap in the face because he was very kind, and it was a good wake up call because, that it's the follow up in the coffee is still networking, right? That time still needs to have a plan, right? We're not just there to just drink coffee and chit chat about not our business, right? It needs to be intentional. And so I know for me, having a better center of influence plan as far as how these coffees go probably needs to be molded a little bit better, in my opinion, for me.
Always learning, right?
Yeah, always learning.
So what kind of networking do you do?
I do a little bit of everything. So I'd started a lot with open networking, but I also do closed networking, aka exclusive networking.
All right, hold on. What is that?
Yeah,
I want to be part of whatever that club is because it sounds cool.
It sounds very bougie.
It does. I'm kind of bougie. Well, I'm ex-Air Force, so I like things that are exclusive.
Yes. Yeah. Well, so it's actually if you've probably mentioned on the podcast before, Mark, Heather, and I are in an exclusive networking chapter. And what that means is that there is one category, one chair position in the chapter, right? So I hold the life insurance seat in my chapter, which means no other person can come into this chapter or any of our meetings and solicit about life insurance, disability, and long-term care. And so there's a financial advisor. We have a business coach. You do social media, virtual network, assistants. We have a realtor. So all these people hold these seats. We pay to be there, but it's almost like always like to think of it from Hamilton. I'm a big, obviously, musical buff. We're in the room where it happens, right? Being a part of this meeting on a weekly basis can really escalate business because you are the only one there in a room of like 40 people. It's like you have the floor. You're not going to an open networking meeting with 7 other people that do what you do.
Now, like there's the exclusive ones, and you said you got to pay for it. What do you find is the difference in the caliber of networking you're able to do, even outside of BNI, where you just hold the seat, but when you have to pay to be part of an organization versus going to a free event that someone's hosting?
Sure. It's, because I pay for other things, right? Like I'm also in the chamber. Heather and I are ambassadors with the chamber, and that is something that I pay for on a yearly basis, but that doesn't mean that I'm the only New York Life person. And so, because they could pay to also be an ambassador and to be in the chamber as well. And so I think like that is a good example of, well, where do I spend my money next time, right? Because there's, you renew on a yearly basis for these things, right? And still, because that, like the chamber, I love the chamber. The relationship building is amazing in this business. For me, it's not as intentional as say BNI. BNI is a referred base business, right? So, we're going into each meeting trying our best, very best, to give a referral on a weekly basis, right? There's a lot of homework involved compared to open network events, right? We present every week, hey, I'm looking for someone who is this age that needs this service that, I love an introduction to. There's no other form of networking that I've ever attended in this city that does that.
Very intentional.
Yeah.
Right, as opposed to casual. All right. Well, we're wrapped up at the end of the time on your segment. How do folks get in touch with you, Sarah?
So they can get in touch several ways. Even if you just simply Google Sarah Garton, New York Life, you'll find most of it, right? I have a Facebook business page. I'm on Instagram, which isn't supported by New York Life, but that's just my personal page if you just want to be my friend. But I'm also on LinkedIn, and that's pretty much how you can reach me. And, my phone number's out there, my email's out there, so give me a call.
So the vast majority of your business comes through networking, not through social media, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, it's a little bit, it's mostly networking. I'd like to spend less energy. I love being social, I do, but I like being able to be a homebody too, especially because I have a new house and I want to be home more in my new house. So I've been trying to prospect and network on LinkedIn actually more. So that's a whole different topic.
Yeah. That content out. All right. Well, thank you, Sarah. I appreciate that.
Thanks.
All right, next up on the show is Jim Shawley, who runs New Tactics, Inc., which offers free equine services to all service members, veterans, and first responders, which I qualify for. So a veteran, what's the definition of a veteran? Is it somebody who's retired, or is it somebody who's served, period, in your mind?
So the VA, the government actually qualifies you as 180 days. If you've done 180 days of active federal service, that is actually their definition. Now, that doesn't mean based on your discharge, you could have a general other than honorable. So those things will also categorize you as a veteran. It's just a lot of times it has to do with your active federal service time. So anything less than 180 days, then they'll.
Cool.
And the reason for that is, what you're going to get out of the VA's, benefits.
Yeah. So what branch of the service were you in?
The best and the first, the Army. United States won each.
Okay. What did you do for the Army?
So I was a mechanic. I had 6 different maintenance MOSs. That's what happens when you go to a schoolhouse. You end up getting thrown under the bus and saying, hey, guess what you're going to teach? You're going to teach all these other MOSs along with a whole bunch of other stuff. But it was great.
How long were you in?
23 years.
Okay. What rank did you retire at?
Sergeant first class.
Nice. That's the E8?
E7.
E7?
Yeah, that hurts when you put it like that, it hurts.
Why? Why does it hurt?
It's
23 years is a long time for E7.
It is. It really is. And, just you always have regrets in life. It's one of my 3. I should have been a warrant officer.
Oh, you wanted to fly?
No. Your warrant officers just do like technical expert stuff. Like they're subject matter experts in certain things, but they also fly.
Yeah.
I should have been a warrant officer. I should have made master sergeant, and I should have stayed in a little bit longer. But those are my regrets. And
Yeah. Well, I mean, you still got a full pension out of it.
yeah, I sleep well at night still. That's okay though.
Yeah, that's important,
Exactly.
right?
Yes.
All right.
So how'd you get involved with horses? I'm going to take the reins.
So I grew up in between California and Texas. My father was a squid in the United States Navy. My mother got tired of moving back and forth. We grew up, out going to the rodeos all the time. I had family that had animals that we took care of. And I figured if you want to get into something to waste your money, get into horses.
100%.
Yeah. As advisors here that are financial advisors, they should be one of the things that they tell you not to do.
Right.
They always talk about getting to the ponies. Well, seriously, horses are an extremely non-lucrative business.
My horse, when I was barrel racing full time at a national level, $500 cortisol shots in her knees every 6 months.
Oh,
That was just one.
Yeah.
It was wild.
So and again, it's a family thing, and so again, but I spent a lot of time doing horsemanship type events, and a little bit of rodeo type working there. My parents didn't want me to get hurt, so that was one of those things. But once I got out of the military, my wife and I said, we'll get our daughters involved. So we got one horse, then one horse became 2 horse, and then, and then now it's 7.
Is it like cats? Don't you do the same thing with cats? You start with
I feel
one
like
and
it's
pretty
more
soon
like
you have 11?
guitars.
oh
'Cause
God,
it's
no.
way more expensive than cats.
Well, it depends on the guitars you're buying, but yeah sure. But and again, I hate to reiterate the fact that it's expensive, but and since as a nonprofit, we don't have grants, we don't have the type of fundraisers that you see a lot of people have. So the expenditures come from ME. And,
Well, wait a minute. No. So, but you believe in the cause. The cause is a good cause. This is a veteran town. Why aren't you making more money for the nonprofit?
Well, I think you were talking about networking, which is a huge thing. Network is extremely important. And I network the crap out of a lot of times. I'm out there talking to all kinds of people, giving my cards out. And I guess I'm not networking the right people necessarily. Or, we signed up for the Big Give popularity contest. If it's not a pet thing, or sometimes a homeless thing, it doesn't get the yes. We're a veteran organization, but we're not getting that. I don't get that play. We just don't have that traction yet. We're really still a mom and pop operation. We really are.
You just need to connect with a few people that are connectors that really kind of believe in what you're doing, and they can connect you to the right folks. I mean,
Well, I can think of a couple of chamber events that could do you real well, and they're all veteran based, but they're high level, like military events. So you're not getting in front of the people with money come to those events.
Have you ever heard or worked with Hometown Heroes Outdoors?
I've heard of them. I just have not. No, I have not worked with them. So
All right, I'll have to connect you with them.
outstanding. And please don't take this the wrong way. I am not woe is me. This is not. I'm happy doing what we're doing, because a lot of times I have 4 or 5 individuals show up on the weekend, Saturday morning, and they're happy to be there. And when they leave, the one question I ask, "Did you enjoy yourself?" And the smile. They don't have to say anything. The smile is all I need. And don't get me wrong, it might bring me to tears here, but that makes me happy. So,
well, you love what you do, but
I do.
the question is, do you want to do more of it? That's what's left. Because if you're fine where you're at, it's not an issue. I mean, it's not. I mean, connecting with folks that are going to bring a lot of eyeballs and a lot of stuff on what you're doing may be too stressful for what you're trying to do. So, I mean, it's a genuine question. Do you want more or no?
well, so just to get just a little deeper. So again, we're not a 68-week program. We're not a God come out and we're going to find God with the horses type program. We're not that way. We're more of we want you to enjoy yourself. We're going to teach you a little bit about horsemanship, equitation, if you will,
Or equitation? I don't know.
And tomato.
What,
Yeah, right.
for those, I don't even understand what equitation is.
So equitation is the concept of the rider and the horse working together, and learning the skills that it takes to be a rider, and understanding how the horse works. Because the horses people make them out to be very difficult animals, and they're not. They're very simple to understand, and they have attitudes. Yes, we have attitudes. It's a rhythm. It's the working process of being with that horse, one with the horse, basically. So really, my train of thought is gone now, but it's okay.
So your goal for the new tactics, if it was going exactly right and money wasn't an issue, what would it look like?
Same size, bigger, more people, less people?
It also, I guess it has to do with, I think it would probably be maybe a little bit bigger. It would, it would actually, that's a great question. It would actually be me not working a full-time job. Me in the evening times or during the day being there and scheduling individuals to come out and ride on a daily basis.
So the funding would help with that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, and like you pointed out, I am retired. I also get my VA. So, money is not the biggest hurdle, but it's definitely something that would help, because if I got paid to work to do this, then I could do it every single day. But we're not those kind of programs where you're coming out to get therapy. We're not therapizing anybody. Does that happen during the session? While they're there for those 2.5, 3 hours? Absolutely. We got individuals that come out and say, "Oh, I don't have any stress at all." Like we discussed barrel racing, and I asked them, "When was the last time you rode a horse?" "Oh, when I was 18."
Yeah.
And now you're 27, or you're 35 or whatever the
Thank
case
you for
for.
telling me I'm 27.
Exactly. Or, then my next question is, what's your stress level right now? I'm like, I'm fine. I'm doing great right now, and you're.
Well, it's a lot better now that you're in here, I think, for me anyway. My stress level is down.
Wow.
So I qualify for your program there, Jim. So I should be able to come out there
Two times
horse.
over. 2 times over.
Yeah,
you just
2 times over.
to raise some funds to do it. I'll challenge you.
Right.
Because that's the thing. I feel like there's life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And the pursuit of happiness is just as important as the life and liberty piece. But when it comes to charities and 501c3s, like, you see those two first and you see a need, but like, that's the pursuit of happiness.
Well, and I want to reiterate, everything is free. I get donations from lots of people that I've worked with. When I worked in my previous job, I went out in the community. I covered 9 counties, and I met and talked with everyone, that outreaching to talk to everyone and anyone, giving both my cards out from my business and from the nonprofit. So I met lots of people. Lots of people want to give when they can, and that's important when they can. So all my saddles are donated. There's very few and far between that are, that I've had to buy. So I'm thankful for that. And the other thing is Phil Hartman, I think is his name, from
I know that I recognize the
Sounds
name.
super familiar. Yeah. What's he from?
Phil Hartman, the comedian?
No,
that died?
the foundation here in San Antonio that does for handicapped children.
Oh, I'm not familiar.
He has it's a large park. Anyways,
Morgan's Wonderland?
Morgan's Wonderland.
Yep.
He-
The name resonated.
Yeah.
He always talks about inclusion, and I want to make sure all of our veterans are included, because, I don't want them to feel uncomfortable. That's why we don't talk about the 2 G's, God and government. Because I don't want someone else not to show up because we're talking about God every 5 minutes, you know what I mean? So it's the truth,
Yeah.
A lot of horse stuff is very, very like God associated too. It's a very
or spiritual related, which
Yeah.
is fine. But we want to make sure that. And then the other issue is, people. I don't want to talk about we don't want to talk about your job. That might be a trigger for you. We want to talk about things that are making you happy, that you're enjoying life. So those are important things. And veterans that are I get this question all the time. Veterans that are more girthy than others. They're concerned about coming out. I have draft horses. I went and got draft horses intentionally to make sure that all of those veterans would be able to come out and ride. Okay.
So for fat vets, they can come out and ride too. Is that what you're saying? You said girthy, but I'm saying fat.
Well,
Overweight?
yes.
Can I not say fat? Is that
That's
like
a big topic in the
words
horse
thing?
world, because there was that whole scandal on TikTok of the ranch that wouldn't let the influencer ride because she was overweight, and then she blew them up on TikTok, and then they responded. It was
wow.
My.
There are organizations here in San Antonio that are military affiliated that let you ride their horses, but you cannot weigh over 200 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 6'7" and weigh 280 on a good day. You can ride any of my horses, but the fact is, it's that inclusion. I want to make sure everyone feels like they're welcome, and it's important, because
Well, you've
otherwise,
got a good vibe that way, Jim. I mean, you make people feel welcome, except maybe for me earlier. I don't know. I'm still upset about it. No, I'm just kidding.
you are Air Force, so it's okay.
All right, Jim, if people want to get in touch with you, how do they find your organization?
You can find us at Facebook, New Tactics Inc., or you can find us on the web. It's newtactics6.org, the number 6, or you can just call me. I don't have a problem with you calling me and talking me up. My wife might, if it's 12 o'clock at midnight, and She might ask who that is, but anyways.
Don't call him
Are
at
you going to give your
midnight.
phone number? Or do you have to look
Oh, well, you want my phone number? Do you want my phone? Do you want
well,
my
you
phone
said
number?
we could call.
Maybe your email.
My email. My number is 210-563-1232. And my email is james.shawley@hotmail.com.
Oh, Hotmail. Wow. You're dating yourself.
Wow.
All right.
It's okay. My
Didn't
mom
you-
still has AOL.
Oh, my gosh. Remember Juno or Earthlink?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. Juno, back when that was a thing. All right. Good show, everybody. As we wrap up, a quick reminder to check out our latest podcast or catch video versions of the show anytime by visiting our website at satalkradio.com. That's going to be it for this one. Thanks, everybody. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.